Happy Thanksgiving! Hi! Hello. Happy Thanksgiving. My good people. Yeah, I'm sitting alone in a room. but it's all good. We have a big Thanksgiving dinner on Saturday with some friends here. And Eric and I and another family are going to go over to our friends Tim and Stefan, their place, And yeah, I mean, it's going to be a feast. It's going to be fun. Expats, I guess. What does expats really, and what is an expat? I mean, I know, but, you know, do I really know? Are you an expat if you decide to live in a place that's not your home country, like forever? Forever? Or are you an expat if you, like, can you be an expat in the mind? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, our home address is in Chicago, you know, so, hey everybody. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Listen, you know, who knows what this is going to be? Oh, I hope, I mean, you're here, right? Even if there was one person here, even if it was Carol Hempel only, you know, Carol Hempel, one day it might be, you know, it might be. And then if you're gone, I mean, who knows? I mean, it'll just be over. Hey, Eric. So, I gotta close the door. Okay. Wasn't that cool the other day when my mom was on the show when I like dropped the green screen totally and you saw behind the curtain, you know? Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's Thanksgiving Day. It's 11 a.m. in the States. People on the East Coast, I mean, I don't know if anybody's gonna be around because it's noon there. And I think when do you all have your Thanksgiving dinner? If you do that, the thing is that's nice about Thanksgiving, it's interdenominational. It's non-denominational. You know, it's not about the church. The pilgrims would be upset to hear that. But it's about, you know, it's about other things, family and bounty, you know, if you're lucky to have it, right? And so, you know, so I think most people are down with Thanksgiving. I've been an orphan many times, you know, and so, yeah, so wherever you are, do you do it like later in the day? For us, I've always thought of Thanksgiving meal as happening at like 2 or 3 even, but maybe you have different traditions. I don't think it's usually brunch, but that would be really fun. Thanksgiving brunch, actually. I really like that idea, actually. Thanksgiving brunch. 2022. So yeah, so tell me when you have your meal. And so there's people here. I'm so glad. If you got to go, you know, because you got to go to the place or you got to get your turkey out of the oven and it needs all your focus. I get it. And yeah, I have this, I imagine in my mind that there are people, you know, all of us nerds in our different places in the country and around the world. And you're like, you know, you're chopping onions in your kitchen, or maybe you're watching your cake. Carrot cake. That could be good for Thanksgiving. So that's what I picture. And I picture you sort of looking at the clock and like, you know, and like, you know, yes, hello, yes, what do you need? Okay, like answering a spouse or a child or someone, maybe taking the dog out for a walk and just having me on, you know, just chilling, hanging out, a little bit of company with your fellow nerds while you're doing your stuff, you know. I always have to have something on. I mean, Eric's the same way. Yeah, so when we're doing things, we'll usually turn something on. So maybe it's a Thanksgiving show today. I have specifically picked content for this day. And it's again, one of those times where I was trying to do tech stuff and I've got a bunch of pictures and a whole lot of stuff geared up, keyed up, lined up. I'm keyed up. And then, but I don't, it's really going to be an exploration with you because I did not have time to do much else except print things out to read for you. Anyway, so who's here? Hello. Okay. Let's see who we've got. Nancy's here. Hi, Nancy. Hey, Myra. Hey, Molly. Molly's cooking. Looking for something to pour bacon fat into. On my mouth. And ooh, that could be problematic. What about a cornbread or some kind of muffin? I mean, if you could use some kind of, you know, savory, you could do some sort of savory muffin or bread kind of thing, a roll or something. I think like a cornbread or something, bacon fat could be really, really useful. in that respect. But I bet if you're gonna, someone here in the chat will surely have a great idea. They probably already have given you ideas, Molly. I'm behind. I'm catching up right now, saying hello to everybody. Thanksgiving greetings to you all, NDH. I'm glad that you're here. Joyous Fibers is here. Parade in the background. Joyous Fibers says, oranges squeezed for mimosas. All the important stuff indeed. There's some Prosecco in the fridge. We should raise a glass together. I will raise a glass by the end of the show. I'll take a quick break, get some Prosecco, and toast everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Oh, I do wish I was in the States. Today. It would be nice just to, be with family. All my family is in Winterset. My sister flew in from New York. My other sister and my brother-in-law are there, Mom, and they all help out at the church, we're not church-going people necessarily, but it's really a tradition. If you're home in Winterset, you go to the Methodist church and you prepare the meals for the folks who are shut in or sick or can't afford a holiday meal. And so you load up all the stuff, in the church kitchen. Jack works on the gravy, makes all the gravy, just vats of gravy. And then, we help put pie and pumpkin and stuffing and all that stuff into these little containers and get them out to the people. So it's great. So that's what they're doing. I wish I was there. That'd be cool. But I'm also glad that I'm here. Don't take that the wrong way. You know what I mean. Oh, yeah. Quilting Nancy saves jelly jars for the bacon grease. Hello to my YouTube people, by the way. And I want to say, so Tanny, I'm so glad that you're here. You've got a parade on the TV. The Macy's parade. Oh, what am I thinking? Veronica, I'm so glad you're here. Marilyn Johnson, thrilled that you're here, even if you catch 5 minutes, because you can hear me and everybody else say happy Thanksgiving to you. Hey, Virginia. Well, I'm glad I look wonderful. I have so much makeup on. I mean, it's amazing. I can't get the lighting right. I have so much makeup on and I'm still washed out. It's a whole thing. Ugh, I got to figure this out. But thank you very much. Patricia is here. Hello. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. And yes, I was going to say about the, if Twitch begins to glitch or YouTube begins to go down the tubes, it's probably because the broadband bandwidth, anemia here. And and Eric and I talked about it. Fiber is coming into this building. It's going to be better. And I said, well, maybe, our little internet, which is okay. Maybe it can't really take the multi-stream thing. And he said, that could be the problem. It's probably the problem. And I said, well, I could stop multi-streaming until that gets fixed. But it's good. It's good to have the YouTube thing because Twitch is a barrier for some people. And I don't know. I've come this far with it and we're going to see it through. But if you get problems on YouTube, come over to Twitch. You don't have to just stay with me. Please stay with me. But I think it's worth it, even if there are a few flubs to be on that platform too, so more people can check it out. And anyway, that's the deal. Okay, back to business. Dee Marie. Hello. This is what Dee Marie says. Hello, everyone. Sunny day. Excellent. I've got the theme music coming in from Fiandor. Fiandor, remind me where you are. I feel like I ask you that a lot. I apologize. I love those music notes. I really do. And happy Thanksgiving to you. Parades, cooking, nerding all at once. Fantastic. Oh no. Molly, please, be careful. I mean, to do that. But cutting things like that, just don't. Everybody pay attention when you're cutting things with the knife. I did it the other day. I was chopping an onion like a month ago. Wasn't totally paying attention, and went right into the index finger. Whew. It was okay. But sometimes, cannot be okay. Don't let that happen today. It's lousy. Ugh, it's so lousy when you do that. Because then you have to wash dishes and it hurt. Anyway, let's move on. So, hey, Val. Hello. Happy Thanksgiving. Diobev. Hello. Hi. It's so good to see you. And Faith Quilts is here. I'm so glad. And Val can only stay for a little bit. You got to get ready for Thanksgiving at the parents' house. Right on. Dinner starts around noon. and ends anywhere from 10 p.m. at the earliest. Interesting. I was married briefly, long ago, disastrous, very briefly. But I remember at the wedding celebration, they brought out like prosciutto and meats at like midnight. It was like, wait, what? But there was the whole thing that happened after the thing, and it was just a whole thing. Let's see. You eat when the champagne. You end your. Oh no, Joyous Fiber says we eat when the champagne gives out and things seem cooked. Relaxed out here in the West. Wow. Ending at 1 a.m. This is redonkulous. Oh, you're thawing the bird, Faith. You're going to eat tomorrow. That's good. All afternoon. Ridiculous. Yes. Quilting Nancy says, I think mothers of grown sons are most apt to do breakfast or brunch, a earlier day meal to free them up for the in-laws. It's very kind. Sharing people. Hey, Susan. Hey, Blobfish. Hey, you know what? I'm grateful for this community too. I'm very thankful. I mean, that's like an understatement. I mean, yeah, it's just been such an amazing thing to happen this year. It's like one of the best things that's happened all year without question. I mean, I'm trying to think of something that happened that was better than this. My friend Sophie had a baby. My sister Rebecca got an amazing job. There's things, but I mean, this is really good. That's good. It's not possible. Okay, the write down. Good to see you. Prosecco is flowing. Hey, Ivana. Happy day of gluttony. Yes, exactly. Bip is here. Hello, Bip. The red lips. Well, it's the least I can do. I mean, it's the most I could do. It's a long story. Niflinster, and Elizabeth, and Ivana. And Ivana says she's prepped. And she says, I'm almost done making the 2 15-pound turkeys. Good God. Dressing, Spanish rice, salsa with homemade tortilla chips, and dark chocolate brownies. Soon I will have to wrap everything and bring it all over to my sister-in-law's house. To answer your question, we plan to eat at 3. So I will cut up the turkeys and place them in the Nesco. Now you know I live in Wisconsin. Yeah, exactly. The Westco. Wait, the Nesco? I'm sure it's like some dish of some kind. Hey, and it's Kelly Nodder, and it's her first time chatting in the chat. So everybody, please welcome Kelly. We're so glad you're here. Happy Thanksgiving. It's a community here. It really is. It's we just nerd out on quilts. And if you're new around here, hey Viv, if you're new around here, what I do now is tell you what this is about, and it's the intro to the show. And people who have been here for the 3 months. I guess it's got to be like 4 months by now. This show's been on broadcasting live for 4 months, and we've all learned a lot. I've learned about green screens and discords and all that kind of stuff, and it's just great. So I've done a lot of things in my life, and among them, like I've had jobs. I was a waitress for like 10 years in my life. I waited tables, all in. I worked at an office for like a hot second. I've been a freelance writer for a very long time, most of my adult life. I've been a freelancer my entire adult life. I've been a performer. The Neo-Futurists in Chicago. Do you know of them? There's companies in San Francisco and in New York and I think in Canada. Anyway, I'm a Neo-Futurist alum. So I've performed and written for the stage. I've been a magazine editor several times. I think I will be again. I really love being an editor. And I've done all kinds of things. And my mom has been in the quilt world. And there is a whole world. There's magazines and retreats and television shows and books and patterns and fabric and cruises and all kinds, and scholarship, so much scholarship, and museums and all kinds of wonderful things, because there are millions and millions of quilt makers in this country, in America, and in the United Kingdom and in Australia, and that's just in the West. I mean, there's quilters all around the world. So I've done all these different things, but I never did the quilt thing, or hadn't done the quilt thing, until I was just about 30. And I decided to make a quilt because, my mom was doing the quilt thing, and I grew up, with her being an editor of a quilt magazine and a host of a television show and all this stuff. And I never really cared. I was doing my own stuff. And then I made a quilt, and I really liked it. I really liked it a lot. It was great. And if you've ever made a quilt, you know that it's great. And why is it great? It's great because you get to make choices, you know? Even if you're following a pattern that someone else wrote, which is how most people make quilts, not all. Some people are quilt designers, which is awesome. We need quilt designers so that we can have patterns that they write, so we can make quilts that they design. But you get to make choices about what fabrics you use, and you get to decide what you like. And you can make it, you can make a big quilt or a little quilt. You can make a quilt that is 2 colors or like all the colors. My mom used to say she liked making quilts because when she was a mom of young kids, I have 2 sisters, one on either side, and she said, the dishes don't stay done. And this is not even if you're a mom. This is like everybody. So like the dishes don't stay done. Your homework doesn't stay done. Your job stuff isn't done. The errands you have to run. Nothing ever stays done. But a quilt stays done. You make a quilt block, it's done. You sew those quilt blocks together, it's done. And then you do the rest of the stuff to make your quilt, and you have a quilt at the end of it, and it's done. And so, and you can do lots of things that get done. You can make things that get done. Duck decoys are always my go-to example of other things you can make. But when you make a quilt, you have a quilt at the end of your process, and a quilt is a very special thing. You can give a quilt as a gift. You can keep it for yourself. You can barf on it and put it in the wash. You can make love under it, hopefully. Those were terrible examples to give together. Let's continue. A quilt you can wrap up in, and you can put it down to protect a floor, and you can wrap it up, and give it to somebody. Or if you need to change the oil in the car, you can put it under the car. I don't want you to do that. I'm making the point that a quilt can be like all of these different things, and it's made to be used. And there are quilts that are made for the walls of museums, and they are meant to be viewed as art. But maybe the quilts that we use in our own lives are art. This is up to you and us to talk about. But quilts are these special, special things. And once I started making them myself, I realized that it was more, there was more to my interest in quilts than just making them. It's fun to make. It's amazing to make them. It can be meditative and all of that. It can calm you down. You get into a zone. There's like a kind of a zen of quilt making, feeding things through the sewing machine or stitching by hand. But if it was just that, I wouldn't have stuck around as long as I have, and I wouldn't be a quilt nerd. And what that means is I really love to study quilts, quilt history, and quilt culture. And by that I mean, what is the life of the quilt in popular culture? Where does it appear? It appears on fashion runways. It appears in home decorating magazines. It appears in articles about art openings, because there are quilt shows in major museums all the time. There's one in Boston right now that's like a blockbuster. Bisa Butler, she's a superstar. She is a quilt maker, and she had a huge exhibit at the Art Institute in Chicago. It was huge. It's huge. And so quilts are alive out there. And there are modern quilts, if you don't know. They're called modern quilts, and they look like Joseph Albers paintings or Mark Rothko paintings. They're very abstract and often solid colors. And we have a drinking game here. We have a drinking game. And today, I don't want to have a bottle of tequila just like in the house, Believe me, there was a time in my days as a bachelorette, I always had tequila in the house. You know who you are. Sorry. But we have a drinking game, and like maybe we'll actually do it. We have to actually do it at some point. And the drinking game is anytime on this show that I come across the line, "These aren't your grandmother's quilts," because like every mass media, article, not everyone, but so often you're reading about quilts in like the newspaper. So there's some story that has to do with quilts, or quilts are cool again, or like they ever left. And they'll be like, the lead, like the subtitle, like the lead of the article will be, "These aren't your grandmother's quilts." And so it's really tired, it's really hackneyed, and I've decided that we're gonna take a shot every time that happens. And it does happen. So if you're interested in seeing like a group of quilt nerds get a little bit faded, or whatever, then you should watch this show. And I'm kind of doing the intro today. I'm sort of, my angle here on the intro is kind of, I feel, that it's like sort of targeted to somebody who is really like dropping in and did not find this through my Instagram, Yo Marie Fons, or did not find it through, being like a fan of mine. And that's good because for everybody who does know this show, I mean, I never get tired of doing the intro because it's so true, and it's so it's exciting every time to think about why we're here. And if you're new, then you have to know why we're here, because you have no context for why we're here. There's something important. One thing is, I found myself like really geeking out on a quilt not too long ago. Beatrix Potter, that wonderful Peter Rabbit. Okay, she's the author of Peter Rabbit. She's dead. She's been dead a long time, but she lived here in England. I'm in London right now, and she lived here in England, and we're going to do, my colleague Jenny Smith and the magazine that I edited for a long time and that I worked for at Quiltfolk mag. We're doing a workshop, okay, on a couple quilts that Beatrix Potter had in her life. Quilts are everywhere, okay, including in Beatrix Potter's like former home. And I saw this quilt that's going to be displayed at the Victoria and Albert Museum here in London, which is a famous museum. They're going to do a whole thing on Beatrix Potter, and this quilt is going to be in this show. And I saw this quilt, and it's ridiculous. I can't show it to you because it's special. Like, we have to save it for the workshop. But I wigged. It's on camera. I wigged out. I was like, ah! And later I was like, I mean, Fons, like, get it together. Like, don't come for me, quilt people. But I was like, it's a quilt. Like, chill. Because I was like, But the reason that I freaked out is not because it was pretty or it was like interesting. I freaked out because it's a piece of history. And I actually freak out about history. I actually freak out when I discover something about the world that I didn't know. I actually go, just to be alive, basically. And so you see a quilt that Beatrix Potter's mother made for her in like 18 whatever, and it's got like words and stuff on it. And it's like, because it's basically humanity, right? So that's what I freak out about. And so this show, it's not just that we look at quilts, it's that we think about them. And by thinking about quilts, we think about ourselves. And it's a very special episode of Quilt Nerd. We do. So that's what it is. That's what this show is that we just hang out and nerd out about this one thing. And by nerding out about this one thing, we have everything at our fingertips. So. Yes, and someone is drinking eggnog with something? I don't know. Hey, Little Bird Stitch. Yes, oh man. I mean, relative. I hope you, I guess that intro was for you, dear. And I hope that you stick around if you feel the spirit move you. And I hope you will, become this, indelible member of our community, just like totally critical, to the conversation. I do. I hope you do. Sue, Pam Priest, you got to pop in. You got to check out. I get it. I completely get it. And anybody new in the chat, by the way, you came to like the Thanksgiving show. It's a big table. You're very welcome to be here. I'm glad you're here. Hey, Nose to Quilts. Happy Thanksgiving. Keeping you company at a freezing cold bus stop. Oh God, I love you. I've stood at many bus stops myself. Yes, we will. Hopefully that very passionate intro, warmed your head down to your toes. Yes, indeed. Little Bird is here. And da-da-da. Okay, so, how do you sign up for future workshops? Just keep watching this show. I'll let you know the moment it's possible, and maybe for the workshops, I'm sure I can get like a pre-sign up thing. I mean, I'm like teaching the workshop. I'm one of the teachers. So yeah, we can arrange that. We can arrange that. And Patricia's here. Okay, Virginia. Oh, good. Oh, yeah, interesting. Oh, yeah, a way to track quilts. I wish, I wish. Some data bank. I wish. Panera soup. I don't know. I'd get in touch with the Panera people. If the manager of that Panera has been there a long time, he might know. Because it's a franchise, right? Isn't Panera a franchised business? Right? If someone owns that Panera, you could find it. Maybe. Susan says, and then we're going to get into the quilt behind me. We're going to talk about it. Hey, a nun maker. Baking. Yes, baking. Family baking. I can smell the baking right now. Susan says, does the pejorative not your grandmother's quilt thing come from the idea that all of the grandmothers make utilitarian bed quilts to keep warm? The quilts weren't the show quilts. They were just there for function. But those quilts are so special too. Totally. I think it's exactly it. There's this idea that, only old ladies make quilts. And even if they did, ageism, sorry, but not your grandmother's quilts. Thank God, because your grandmother sucks. That's what they're saying. I'm sorry. That's the implication is thank God these are different, because we don't want those blankets from those old, wizened women. Your grandmother's amazing. Unless your grandmother's a monster, and then I don't want them to be your grandmother's quilts either. But yeah, it's that quilts are sort of boring or homey, and people say that these aren't your grandmother's quilts when the quilts are extremely modern and fresh and sort of different, right? They're these are different quilts, and it's yeah, there's all kinds of quilts, dude. It's not always a dude who says that, but plenty of them have. Okay, so what's going on? We gotta check this out. Yeah, Virginia, get in touch with the manager. I'm telling you, if you can. I bet you could track it down. Okay. So now I get small. I'm small. And the quilt, so I always start with a quilt behind me. On the screen. And yeah, what is this? What is it? It is this. So today's show is it is entirely focused on Indigenous quilters of the United States. What else is there? We got to talk about Native American quilting traditions, people. I have so many pictures for you. And like I said, if you missed the very, very beginning of the show, oh man, I was running around. I've got a lot of stuff to show you, but I have not read, the stuff that I printed out about all these things. So you gotta bear with me. It might be a long show simply because I gotta find the materials. I have to do the right stuff here, and it's gonna take me a little time. And there may be 0 people here by the time I end the show because everyone's going to dinner. And that's all right. Okay, so here's what's going on. Here is what's going on. This is a detail shot from Quiltfolk magazine. And Quiltfolk magazine is a brilliant publication. We can talk more about Quiltfolk as we go through here. And this was I have to tell you, Quiltfolk magazine is a quarterly magazine, and each issue focuses on the quilts and the quilters and the quilt culture of one state or region at a time. And it's a travel magazine, so we go to the state. We set up the stories, and we go and we meet the people, and we take their pictures, and we see their quilts, and it's amazing. There's never been a quilt magazine like it. It's beautiful. You're going to see that because I'm going to show you some Quiltfolk material today. And it's an incredible thing. You got to go to quiltfolk.com. You have to subscribe. You have to support this incredible thing. No, it's great. Okay, it's great. And I was the editor-in-chief for years until I stepped down to do a Twitch show, basically. So this story, there was a story we did for the Nevada issue of Quiltfolk magazine, okay? And the Nevada issue was issue 15, and it was the last issue before the pandemic. And that was really something. Hang on, I gotta open these. Hang on. And so we found this story, and how we found it, I won't go into the whole process of pre-production, but we look all over, and we find these wonderful stories about different people doing quilts in these different places in the United States. And I think I found it. We are a team that works together. But I found this story of kids in Nevada who live on a reservation, the Owyhee Reservation, and they made a quilt for, two quilts for some special needs kids in their school system. And they were in the paper. So these are the kids with the teacher. And so the kids in the foreground, okay, the two, let's see, the two on the right, the furthest right and in the middle, these are the kids who got the quilts from the kids who made the quilts with Pam, their teacher Pam. And Pam is there in the middle. And this story, I mean, it's so we had to, this was the first story we got when we went to Nevada, and it's so far north in Nevada. I mean, it's almost in Idaho. We flew into Boise actually for that whole trip because it was closest. Boise was closest, three hours away, you know, from Owyhee, and so we, whatever, it's not really that important, but the reservation is, you know, far away from other things, right? I mean, it was a remote place, very interesting, very beautiful area of Nevada. And these are the kids. And so I've pulled some pictures from that photo shoot to show you because it's, oh yeah, Joyous Fibers. Nevada is truly, I mean, it's one of my very favorite issues. It wasn't my last as editor, no, but the last one before the pandemic really descended. So let me I'm going to pull up the magazine also and read to you a little bit about these students and their brilliant quilt. Okay. So it's in North Central Nevada. Rhiann Minardi Morrison wrote the story. I won't read the whole story, but I can tell you that Pamela Reed is the teacher. And she was a semi-truck driver for 30 years. Pamela, I gotta go back to Pam, hang on. She's so cool. Pamela was, a truck driver for 30 years, but now she says she has her dream job teaching home economics to these kids in the school system there in Owyhee. And she was a substitute teacher, got her teaching certificate. Anyway, so that's her. So Owyhee sits 5,400 feet above sea level within the Duck Valley Indian Reservation. The town's population sits around 1,000. And the Owyhee Combined School, OCS, comprises roughly 300 students. So, you know, K through 12, like 300. Nearly all of the students are members of the Shoshone Paiute tribe. So before taking Miss Reed's class, most of her students had never sewn before, and none of them had made a quilt. When Ms. Reed told them they would be making quilt blocks using a sewing machine, they were interested and nervous. This is from Rhiann's article. It was confusing at first. I couldn't get the hang of it, said 16-year-old Clay Thomas. He came around, though, so Clay is one of these guys. I don't remember, you know, the individual. I mean, I remember their faces. I don't forget many, but I'm not sure which one Clay is, of course. So Clay is like, it's interesting, though, taking something that's been broken down and turning it into something new. We have a box of scraps, and to me, it's cool to turn it into something completely different. That's what Clay said. Okay, so one of the class' first projects was to make quilts for River and Lucien, two students in the special education program at OCS. One of our aides, so quote, one of our aides who worked with River requested a quilt, said Raymond Jim, a special education teacher at Owyhee. Quote, we thought that since we have a home ec department that makes quilts, we may as well ask. So the special education fellow was like, hey, what about making a quilt for Lucien? I mean, these guys, right? These guys. And I was like, we need to get pictures of, you know, each student. So we took like pictures of each one just individually because I don't know. I mean, it just seemed like a thing to do, and you'll see a couple of them in just a second. But then I wanted to get all the guys together and all the girls together. We just had fun, we had fun out there, and it was March, so there was no leaves on the trees, or anything, but the pictures just turned out beautifully. I'll show you the full article here just as soon as I'm through these. The students learned to make blocks by sewing scraps to newspaper foundation. As the blocks are finished, look at this guy. Oh, they're great. I mean, high schoolers, man, like they're like alien creatures to me. Just like, in general, I'm just like, oh God, because now they look so young because I'm in my 40s. And they just look so beautiful. Like if you're young, like Fran Lebowitz, my hero, one of my favorite writers of all time, she's like, when you get older, any picture of you when you were younger is a good picture. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. They just look so cool to me, just like young and like, I don't know, young. Their whole life ahead of them, you know what I mean? So these girls are so great. I think it was Gage Johnson says, I think it was Miss Reed who told us we were going to make quilts for these two little guys. Gage is 17. So we all came together and really made them good. He pointed to a quilt on the table. That one over there, you see all the basketballs? We made it especially for River because he loves basketball. And River is, remember River, hang on. River is on the left and Lucien is on the right. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, the article just talks about how awesome this project is and Miss Reed is, and it says, again, Rianne, Ms. Reed keeps her grading simple. Quote, for 1 block, they get 70% for the day. For 2 blocks, they get an 80%. 3 blocks, they get 100%. It's up to them. Yeah. And there's all the girls. And Mackenzie Katie says she's a sophomore at Owyhee, and she'd never sewn anything before. And she said, when I started doing it, quote, it was just really fun. And it's kind of calming. I like to come into class and just sew whatever. Right? Sorry, I'm focusing so hard on like pictures in the article and not screwing this up. So I'm not looking at the chat. I hope I'm not missing too much. Pam. Ms. Reed. She's like, call me Pam. I was like, okay, Pam. And I left my sweater there. I left my sweater there, and then, I mean, we flew home from the Nevada trip from Vegas on March 13th. I mean, like, that was the day Disney closed and the NBA, like, put this season on hold. And this is the picture I used for the background today. Just a close-up of the quilt. And, yeah, so, I mean, just my sweater left at the high school. I mean, it was not a concern. I did not really care that I, left it there. It was totally immaterial. This is a great picture. That's River's cowboy boots there. So, and the quilts. I think that's the last picture. Yeah. Okay. So now let me just, I'll show you the actual article just to give you a sense of the layout. It's just a great issue. It's a great issue. They're all great. And they're great. I mean, like, the editor now, managing editor, Brianna Briggs, is doing a fabulous job. She's doing great. The whole team is just awesome. So here's the story, and it's in issue 15 of Quiltfolk magazine. And I'm pretty sure you can get back issues at quiltfolk.com. You should absolutely do that. And I'm going to show you the cover of Nevada. See, this is what you call a full bleed, when you print a picture edge to edge, full bleed, because it's just such a great picture. Oops. Sorry. Here are the kids, and that's the thing. And then the cover. I got what I wanted for my whole, as an editor, I was like, one day I will put a Lone Star on the cover of this magazine in full. We will find a way. We will hang it somehow. We will do it. And listen, for anybody out there who is going to be surprised, here's a surprise. Here's a surprise. If you're a non-quilt person, definitely if you are a quilt person. Do you know where we took this picture? I will tell you where we took this picture. We took this picture at the house of Crimson Rose. And Crimson Rose started Burning Man. That's right. She and her partner started Burning Man. Yeah, that Burning Man. And when we were pitching ideas for the Nevada issue of Quiltfolk, we were like, well, Meg Cox, brilliant writer, staff writer, good friend of mine, she was like, Burning Man takes place in Nevada. There's got to be quilts at Burning Man. So she goes on down this rabbit hole, right? She's like, well, how can we do a story about Burning Man? And I was looking for stuff. And then it turns out I'll find it. The woman who started Burning Man has quilts. Oh, there's me in the desert. Has quilts, makes quilts, and we went to her house, and that's her grandmother's quilt up here. It is her grandmother's quilt. It is her grandmother's quilt. And we I'm off to the right of this picture, and Rianne, who wrote the article I just read from, is on the left, and we are both pulling that rope. Do you see that cord up there? We're both like hanging onto it with our full weight of our bodies to get the quilt to stay up on this like huge wall that was on the property. This is the backstory, man. You get the backstory on this whole situation. I mean, it's just a blast. We just have a blast. Okay, yeah. Well, to see the Crimson Rose story, you gotta get a subscription to Quiltfolk magazine. Okay. So that is one of the stories. I'm starting with Quiltfolk because the pictures are so good, and I really care about the visuals on this. Okay, good. Auntie Ann says it's pronounced Owyhee. Thank you so much. And listen, I'm going to tell you all, when words are new to me, whether they're names or whatever, sounding them out, putting the emphasis on the correct syllable, the emphasis on the wrong syllable is something I do a lot. So especially with names that are new to me, if you can help me phonetically, because we have a lot of Native American names today. And I'm just going to be embarrassing, right? But I've never seen the words before. So you please help me with these things. Owyhee. Thank you. Okay. So, relative, you don't know what Burning Man is? Oh my God. Well, see, you know what's going to happen? These things happen. Relative is going to be back. And Relative is going to, and then like 3 years from now, Relative, who is just going to, become a quilter or whatever, will be at Burning Man like every year. And he'll be like, or she will be like, I don't know which you are. He or she will be like, you know how I heard about Burning Man? Yeah. The show Quilt Nerd, and everybody will be like, oh, yeah, we know the show Quilt. Are you kidding me? And he'll be like, why do I think you're a fellow? I don't know. Why should I think that? I don't know. It's the way you came in. So, that wasn't a throwing shade. It was just true. I don't know. Everybody here is welcome here. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah. So, I'm starting with Quiltfolk, because it's just so great. So the next story, because we do the fundamental sort of, goal of Quiltfolk is to show quilt, culture, the quilt story of America. And guess what? Everybody quilts. Everybody makes quilts. Everybody. Coast to coast, all the colors, all the economic backgrounds, all the educational backgrounds, like whatever. Quilting is a democratic art, people. You can make a quilt with a needle and thread and some fabric. You can make it with a very expensive sewing machine that's like 8 feet long, really. Everybody does it. Everybody has made quilts, And so to tell the story of just one kind of quilter in America, which is something that's happened for a very long time in quilt media, is like super lame. Aside from it being like a problem, don't even think about it as a problem. It is a problem, but more than anything it's boring. It's just so boring to tell the same story over and over, about this lady who makes quilts and she's wonderful. And of course she's wonderful. Of course her quilts are great, but if it's just one kind of lady, you're like completely missing out on like all of the stories that are just amazing and are part of your story. If you're a quilter in America, it's one story. It's all one story. There's no like this kind of quilter and that kind of quilter. You get granular about it sometimes because it makes sense to do that. African American quilters and white quilters and indigenous quilters, like of course, but in general, it's all one story, people. So Quiltfolk has always been committed to something very simple, which is telling the whole story. So we've done many stories about people who are indigenous people, Native American people who make quilts. Yeah, so I've pulled 4 of them, right? 4 of them today to show you. So this is the Minnesota issue. And I'm going to just show a beautiful soul Gwen Westerman. Gwen Westerman in Minnesota. This is her quilt on the cover. Just adorable, right? I mean, perfect. I think I stepped in like something unpleasant when I was hanging the quilt on the line for this. Why don't know. Why am I doing that? Stop. Okay. So Gwen Westerman, I believe, and someone could maybe look it up. Oh yeah, Viv, I know it's expensive to get it here in the UK. I know. We're glad you subscribed. Thank you for being a subscriber. Oh God, it was so hot that day. Oh God. Gwen Westerman is on page 20. Will someone please look up Gwen Westerman, I believe, was just named the Poet Laureate of Minnesota. I believe that came over the transom. And if you could look it up, that would be great, because Gwen Westerman is a poet. She is a poet. She is a quilter. And Gwen Westerman is an enrolled member of the Sisseton Wahpeton Owyhee tribe. Okay, and I'm going to put it in the chat here so folks can... Oh, I have to sign into my own chat? Well, okay, well, I have to sign into my chat, everybody, so we're gonna see if that works. I don't have faith that I can do this, but okay, but anyway, so here in the Twitch chat, I'll put this is the tribe that Gwen Westerman is a member of. So Westerman has done, this is an article by Laura McDowell Hopper, by the way. And it's Dr. Gwen Westerman, a poet, quilter, and professor. She says, so Laura says, an enrolled member of the Sisseton Wahpeton Owyhee tribe. I told you, new words, man. Westerman has done extensive research on Dakota people and history, enough to know that her ancestors used bone needles and pieced fur for generations before quilting with fabric. And that was introduced in Minnesota by missionaries. And a lot of the Native American quilt traditions, which we're going to see today, that's how a lot of the skills or the knowledge of quilt making, that's where it was born. That's how it began with so many tribes and places in America, is that missionaries came through, rolled over, and taught the Native people how to make quilts. Okay. And because quilting is awesome, that was cool. That was fine. It was it was a good thing. And my mom told me once a while ago, no, she didn't tell me this. I read this, that, teaching the Native Americans that these missionaries met how to make quilts helped get them to go to church. Like, the missionaries wanted them to go to church, and so they would entice them basically to come to church because they would teach them how to make quilts there, which is like sneaky, but also like, I just picture these people going like, well, I have to go to church, but we're gonna get fabric, so let's go. I need to put my binding on, so like, fine, let's go to church. Anyway, so let me do this here. This is exciting. Westerman has blurred the lines between her identities, Laura writes, as a poet and... Actually, let me go back just a little bit. Hang on. The connection to her past informs the quilts Westerman makes in the present. Quilts that reference important figures in Dakota history, her tribe's connections to horses and stars, and her family. Over time, Westerman has blurred the lines between her identities. Quote, "There were people who knew me as a professor at the university. There were people who knew me as a poet. And there were people who knew me as a quilt artist," she said. The longer Westerman has been all three, the more interconnected things are. So this is one of her horses. Look at that. Look at that. That's so great. I'm showing you the article first, I realize. But I have a folder full of pictures that were not in the article. Because, when you hang out with the former editor, you get the B-sides. Look at this. Look at this quilt. It's so great. Look at that. Ugh. I'll just zoom in on this beauty while I sign into this thing. It's nice, huh? Yeah, paper pieced and yeah, a small quilt. You see, these things can be hung on walls, on barns, especially if you need a great picture of it. You know, if whenever I talk about Quiltfolk, you get like a master class in how to do style shots for a magazine. Okay. So there's Gwen here. It's a great article. Laura's a great writer. It was just such a beautiful day there in Minnesota. It was awesome. There's her, I think it's a Kachina quilt. Let's see. It's called, oh, Gwen didn't make this quilt. That's right. It was made by her grandmother. It's called Little Women. It was made in 1978, and it was made by Westerman's grandmother, Nellie Johnson. And this here on the right is some of her research. This picture on the bottom was taken in her studio. Yeah, great stuff. It's great stuff. Oh, and then this is a poem. And she wrote it in the shape of Minnesota. Yeah, it's great. It's just great. It's great. It's a great magazine. It's great. You should get it. And let me do this and show you just a few more pictures of the brilliant Gwen Westerman's stuff. Because, you know, it's Gwen, man. Yeah, I think that to sign into the chat means I have to do other things. So YouTube, so I can't respond to you, you know, like directly in YouTube. It's not a big deal. It's not like something's wrong. I just didn't know that. So now I will know that, and next time I'll be able to do that for you. Okay. This is, oh yeah, this is great. This is great. I told you there'd be a little bit of this today. And I was right. So this is a quilt by Gwen that's actually kept at I think the Minnesota History Museum. Anyway, I'm not sure, but it's in St. Paul, and it was set up for a picture when we were there. Really beautiful. Yeah, Gwen's work is just, it's just fascinating. I can't tell you any more about this quilt. It was just in the folders for the magazine. And this says, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do," down at the bottom. And at the top, I wonder if that's "Forgive them, for they know not what they do" in, you know, I mean, it's another language, I assume, right? It would be, is it Lakota or Dakota? Dakota for Gwen. That's very cool. Very cool. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, close-ups of this quilt. So that was made by her grandmother. Yeah, you know, Myra, it really is. It really is. It really is. It's an adventure. And let me go back here. Let me go back. Let's see. I know of it. Yeah, it's a great theme for today, don't you think, Molly? I mean, it's like, yeah, totally. Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna. Okay, sorry. Now. Okay. So, yeah, this is a great shot. It's a great shot, right? The buffalo on the barn. So this was the barn on Gwen's property. And, yeah, Burning Man, I don't know if I'm going to do it. But maybe. No, you know, people love Burning Man. They go every year. For years and years and years, they go. Because it's out on the playa. It's white sand. And you just, I mean, look, you don't have to, like, take all kinds of, you know, party favors, whatever. You don't have to, like, do drugs and drink and be crazy. But a lot of people do, and there's all these art installations. I mean, if you don't know about Burning Man, it really is something to look up. It's crazy. It's a big festival, but it's about the art more than anything. It's not about the drug thing. It's not. It's just that it's this kind of spiritual experience for a lot of people to be out in this white sand desert. This was a quote Gwen made for her son, I recall. You're out in the desert, under the stars, and there's this art, and it lasts for however many days it lasts, and then it completely disappears. So it's this festival, takes place every summer, and it's over, and there's a theme every year, and anyway, it's just great. Okay, yes, quilts at Gwen's house. You really, yeah, Myra has friends who take their kids, toddlers, you know, and I shouldn't have even, I mean, the drug thing, I think I kind of let off with the drug thing, like, you don't have to take drugs if you go there, but it is bacchanalia, right? It's bacchanal, something like that. Okay, just kind of going through some quilts here from Gwen's photo shoot. This is a great picture of that quilt. I mean, I love those little braided pigtails. It's so great. Look at that. How did she attach them? Thoughts? Are they, I mean, oh, maybe they're under the little cape thing. You know, I can kind of see them like, the high-res photo. We love a high-res photo. You know, are they tucked in below the cape, the ends of the braids, I mean? Look at the detail on the tie. It's so cute. It's so great. Okay, I can do this. Any ideas on that? Yeah, Summer in the Desert, Elizabeth. I'm with you. I mean, yikes. Let's see if we can look at this other little gal. And is that corduroy? I think the little heads are corduroy. Sorry, I'll stop scrolling, but it's like it's sort of a, there's a whale there, isn't there? On the head or for the head. It's adorable. Okay, if I do this, Sorry, I don't want to lose the chat for the YouTube. So hang on one second. Verifies you. Okay. You think about who this is, or how she did it, how she did this, and tell me. Okay, I'll stop futzing with this. I want to see my people. I want to see my people in YouTube. Sorry. Get a verification code. Okay. Nope. Well, okay. Never mind. All right. So any thoughts? Comic-Con. Okay, yeah. The braids are embroidered thread and added to the blocks. That's possible. Okay. Let's move on here. Oh yeah. Molly says, does anyone follow Cecilia in Svalbard on Instagram? She's in the Arctic Circle. Wow, really? Wow, Cecilia in Svalbard in the Arctic Circle? That's incredible. Oh, look at Gwen Westerman. She's great. Wow, I'm going to follow her. I have to write that down. Hang on. Cecilia Svalbard. Okay. All right, that's Gwen. Now, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to move on. We've got a couple other Quiltfolk stories. Raylan Montagna, and who else do I have here? Carolyn Obegi Davis. But we've got lots more to look at. So I'm gonna move on from that and do a few. Oh, interesting. And do a few other things. Okay. So I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna let it go. I gotta let go of things. Okay. Here we go. Sorry. So I found this woman that we're going to talk about in a second. But first, I want to talk about Missouri Breaks. Missouri Breaks. Does that ring a bell for anybody? Missouri Breaks. It's a really interesting story. I want to know much more about it. I don't know if any of you remember when we talked about the Smithsonian scandal, when the Smithsonian, Museum was reproducing quilts, not illegally, but they were producing quilts from their museum collection without getting really permission or giving credit to the people who might have designed them, and they were making them in China and selling them in the gift shop, that whole thing. Well, there was, this backlash from quilt makers who were like, we're trying to sell quilts made here. It's a cottage industry to make quilts and sell them in the United States, so that, so the Smithsonian, who's like, super rich museum, having these quilts made overseas and selling them, and the weird part was that they were really sort of sneaky about, they just kind of omitted the fact that these quilts that they were selling as like American originals. The design was an American original, right, for all of the 4 or 5 quilts that they reproduced, but the manufacturer was overseas. But they were really saying, like, these are American originals, and you got a certificate they had like a number, like a certificate of authenticity for each of the quilts, and it was just like, excuse me, this is lame. So there was this backlash, and quilters were really, really upset about this. And several quilters even went to Congress, like lobbied Congress, to get them, to help them stop this thing. And one of the things that happened was, it's Missouri Breaks. Hang on one second. It's Missouri Breaks, actually. Missouri, like, I almost said like the brake of a car, but that's the brake with the ES, and this is brakes, like brake. One of the things that happened is that this group, Land's End, the company Land's End, they're still around, I believe. Land's End, like, got involved. And I got to figure out the whole story. I had some research on it, and I really tried to look for it, but I was running out of time before the show started, trying to fix my tech, all that stuff. But Land's End did an all-American quilt, okay? It's like they got involved, and there was a huge Land's End quilt contest, and I've got a huge folder going for that. There was like it happened a few different times, like the Great American Quilt Contest, anyway. Land's End got involved with like the quilt world for a while, and like really deeply involved. Land's End designed an all-American quilt. They designed this all-American quilt, and these different groups sort of contributed to designing it and making it, whatever. Missouri Breaks was one of the groups of quilters, or the collectives involved in that project. So I'm gonna figure out more about it. I'm gonna talk more about it. But because today is a show for Thanksgiving, and we're talking about Indigenous quilters, I had to talk about Missouri Breaks. I had to bring it up. This is a quilt made by Missouri Breaks, or was designed by this group, Missouri Breaks, and we're gonna learn more about Missouri Breaks in just a second. But here's the quilt that's gonna lead us off here. Land's End was bought by Sears. Interesting. Oh, and Myra says, before our local Sears closed, it had a great Land's End department. Interesting. We used to shop at the outlet in Schaumburg. Interesting. Land's End and LL Bean both like totally remind me of my childhood, I guess, because my parents were super into that. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. So, sorry. Okay, Missouri Breaks Industries. Look, okay, so Missouri Breaks. So this is the 1980s. We're talking about the 1980s right now, okay? Here's what this says on the back of a pattern. So I'm going to go back to the pictures I showed you that I sped past. Remember, I couldn't organize everything today. But this is what it says on the back of one of the patterns that was sold by Missouri Breaks. Missouri Breaks Industries is an American Indian-owned business operating on the Cheyenne River Sioux Indian Reservation since 1984. Other products available from Missouri Breaks Industries include star quilts, so quilts, finished quilts, pre-assembled quilt tops, quilt patterns, quilting designs, jogging suits. Okay, that's amazing. I'm just reading this for the first time. Jogging suits, like you do. Native American textiles and designs and heat transfers. For more information, call or write Missouri Breaks Industries, Timberlake, South Dakota. Very interesting, right? And up here above this line, it says, there's more of this kind of information I'll share with you. The art of quilt making among the Lakota Sioux is inspired by the Sioux tradition of the giveaway. Giveaway. And it is here that the Lakota families are encouraged to remember the elderly, the widows, the orphans, and the stranger. Wow. Awesome. So this is available on Etsy, y'all. Etsy is where I found many of these images. Not a great image, that's okay. But this is a pattern. You can buy vintage Missouri Breaks patterns on Etsy. And these are the pictures mostly the pictures that I have. Sorry. I'm like, okay, so this quilt, by the way, this quilt is at the International Quilt Museum. Of course. And we're going to look at more pictures of quilts from the International Quilt Museum. I told you at the beginning of the show, this show might be longer, it might be a little bit long, and that's cool because some people, you got pies in the oven, you're not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So this is a Missouri Breaks quilt, and we can read the file on it or the record on it and learn more. This is a very odd close-up of one of the Missouri Breaks patterns. This is the front of a vintage Missouri Breaks Industries pattern available on YouTube. The text here on the front, so it's teepee and peace pipe quilt. It's great. I mean, isn't that great? I love it. I love it so much. The teepee quilt takes us back to a time in our not too distant past. Beige teepees are camped in a circle, their black doors opening to the village green. Oh my God. Peace pipes cross on each point of the star in a sky of blue. Oh my God, are you seeing this? I mean, look at that. It's the design. The design itself has a story. It's not just pretty, it's not just beautiful. It's got this thing. So let me say it again and let me zoom in so we can see what they're talking about. The teepee quilt takes us back to a time in our not too distant past. Beige teepees, okay, here at the outside are camped in a circle. Oh wait, no, it's here. These are the teepees, right? It's interesting because it looks like beige. It's beige out here. What am I missing? Oh yeah. No, it's okay. No, this is the teepee, the whole piece here, right? Of course it's on point, this like diamond, but the teepee, yes, this is the top of the teepee, and then the black triangle is the door. Okay. So beige teepees are camped in a circle, their black doors opening to the village green. It's village green. Peace pipes cross on each point of the star in a sky of blue. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, right? Because maybe these are the peace pipes. Anyway, the point is, it's amazing. I love it. Wait a minute. Susan Michael, your family TV has MST3K Turkey Day Marathon playing? And you're here? I mean, I got Mystery Science Theater 3000 is like, I mean, it made me who I am today. I'm serious. That's so great. Hey, Christmas. It's good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. So this is great. Yeah, Christmas says, I saw a jogging suit and pictured that star quilt pattern on the back of the jacket. Listen, I can picture that too. I think we could probably find a jogging suit with the Lone Star, it's a Lone Star pattern on it. And you may know that there are many, the Lone Star quilt pattern it's a thing among many Native American quilt makers. It's a long tradition of the Lone Star quilt, and we'll talk about why. I can read more about why. So the teepee quilt, this is the materials needed. Here's another Missouri Breaks quilt, Flying Swallow. This is great. I mean, there's another picture of this quilt, but like this design, this is amazing to me. Hey, Padma. Hi. Welcome to the show. Happy Thanksgiving. Drop in, drop out. Just nibble something to make sure it's good, But don't eat too much. Don't spoil your appetite. Not you, Padma, just anybody. So Flying Swallow. So the picture is a little blown out, but it says the star is discreetly in the background of the flying swallows as they follow each other in a graceful hoop of color. So this is a pattern from the 1980s. Look at this. Look at the way they did this. Oh, the picture is just lousy. But you see, it's like three of the points of a Lone Star, the diamond points, right? These diamond units put together and turning in a circle. It's brilliant. I've never seen this before. It's so cool, man. I know. Marianne, hi. Happy Thanksgiving. Fellow expat. We don't know. What is an expat? Are we? I don't know. I think you might be. I don't think I am yet. Do I want to be? I don't know. And look at the quilting down here. The stars are repeated down here. Oh, and look at the quilting here. Oh, that grid. I mean, those straight lines. Oh, this is great. This is great. Somebody needs to be picking up that pattern, because that's great. That swallows pattern. Peace pipe. Another great Lone Star quilt. these patterns are great, aren't they? I think they're great. Peace pipes cross at each point, circling the quilt in a design reminiscent of the ceremonial and friendship circles where the pipes were used. Amen, brother. I'm into it. I'm super into it. So again, 1980s, Missouri Breaks Industries. This was a collective, oh, look at that. This was a collective of Native American people, quilt makers who were producing quilts to sell, quilts, patterns, all this stuff. Now, you may be asking, where is Missouri Breaks Industries today? Ooh, look, these are quilting patterns. These are available on Etsy, I believe. Etsy or eBay? Might be. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, so if you Google Missouri Breaks Industries, the website is interesting. I'm not quite sure what the deal is. The logo for Missouri Breaks Industries is a quilt block looking thing. But yeah, I know it looks like birds, right? That quilt, Padma. But I'm not sure. I couldn't quite figure it out. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time to see. It doesn't look like, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's no quilts happening anymore. Missouri Breaks Industries is an entity. There is a website, but I couldn't quite discern what it is. I think they're selling other things now or something. You know, perhaps the name has remained, but the business has changed, you know, a lot. So, but it's a fascinating thing to me. I love this moment in quilt history, you know, the early 1980s. I'm all about it. For a while, it was like only like 75 to like 79. That was my jam for so long. But now it's like, no. It's the 80s, man. It's the early 80s, the art quilt, all this stuff. But this too, because Land's End wanted to help, right? Land's End was like, you know, the Smithsonian thing is lame. There's all these great quilters out there. If we design, and I think what it was is if we design an all-American quilt and have these different people make them and sell them, then we can like sort of combat this whole Smithsonian thing. It's something like that. And this is a Winter Winds quilting pattern, and I'll read to you what it says on the back of the pattern. So obviously, for the quilt people out there, quilting pattern, you know what that is. For non-quilt people, it means the design that you stitch into the top of the quilt. We can talk about what a quilt is one day. Won't do it today, but keep coming back. Winter Winds by Dale Weasel. Dale Weasel is a Native American Lakota of Sitting Bull's Hunkpapa Band. Sitting Bull's Hunkpapa Band, I meant. He and his wife Mary are a traditional Lakota family raising their 3 children in the Lakota way in the village of Little Eagle on the Standing Rock Reservation in South Dakota. The art of quilt making among the Lakota Sioux is inspired by the Sioux tradition of a giveaway. Oh yeah, okay, we just read this part. And it is here that the Lakota families are encouraged to remember the elderly, the widows, the orphans, and the stranger. And what could be better for today? We should remember 1, the elderly, 2, the widows, 3, the orphans, and 4, the stranger. I really like that. Oh man, I love it actually. Okay, that's the end of the Missouri Breaks thing. Is that true? Hang on. I have another thing. Show me the sidebar. Yeah, no, I've got something else. I have something else, and I will be getting it because I found something on Google. Books. On Google Books. I have a folder that says Thanksgiving show, so I can find everything. Oh yeah. Okay, here it is. Okay. Here's another pattern. Oh yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Another pattern. Okay, look. So this quilt, this is great. This eagle quilt. And we'll talk more about that. I saw this quilt again, a modern version of this quilt, once. I'm not ready to talk about that yet, but I've seen this quilt remade in a contemporary version. So this is the eagle and the peace pipe pattern, vintage pattern. Once again, Missouri Breaks Industries. Legend tells that the peace pipe was given to the mighty Sioux, that they might know the power that is peace, and the wing of the great eagle, that they might have endurance and face all winds with courage. This is great. This is great for Thanksgiving Day. I mean, obviously it makes sense in context to be talking about quilt quilt makers and quilt traditions of the Indigenous people of America, but it's like, yeah, know the power that is peace, have the endurance, and face all winds with courage. You know, it's good stuff. Okay, so look at this. So this is on Google Books, Quilts by Missouri Breaks Industries, and it is like a pamphlet, some kind of pamphlet of designs. I mean, it's been scanned. And I just wish that I could look at it in color and in person. So Deline Kugel and Marcia O'Leary are saying this: we are finding quite a fascination in the history of Sioux star quilts. The cultural value is becoming more significant, and the star quilts are regarded as a symbol among the Indian people today. We welcome any legends or stories about the star when women used it for decoration on buffalo robes and dew liners. Okay, so the Lone Star is a Native American, oh wow, this is great, motif, right? It's a Native American motif, that symbol, that design. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Check this out. Now it's all coming together. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna show you a bunch of really beautiful quilts from the Quilt Museum as I read this thing by Missouri Breaks. By Missouri Breaks. That's a different Missouri company. Okay. Because this, I mean, the quilts at the Quilt Museum, I mean, they have so many really wonderful quilts by Indigenous folks, and we can look at a few of them here. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read you about Missouri Breaks while I flip through these wonderful quilts. And that is a Seminole patchwork quilt. It is made by a woman in Florida. I think it's a contemporary quilt. It's in there because I love it and I wanted to take a look. But actually, we're gonna look at some. Yeah, okay. I'll send you the links to all of the quilts that we look at today, including this one. I think it's a more contemporary one. Okay, so here's what it says. Here's more about Missouri Breaks as we look at these wonderful quilts, and they are from different tribes, different groups within the different tribes. There's Lakota, but then there are these, different, I don't know my terminology, but there's different, not branches, but I don't know how to say it. I don't know the proper terminology here, but there's different kinds of Lakota, different sorts of Lakota tribes. I don't know how to say it, but these are all different quilts from different people across the United States, and they're beautiful. And I will show you all of the links to all of the quilts in the Discord. Okay, let's continue. This is from the U.S. Department of the Interior about Missouri Breaks. Okay, it's the Indian Arts and Crafts Board has put this out. The Sioux Indian Museum and Crafts Center. And it was for an exhibition. Okay, an exhibition in 1986. The U.S. Department of the Interior, Indian Arts and Crafts Board, Sioux Indian Museum and Crafts Center. Okay. This is great. This is what we need. The Missouri Breaks Industries, located in Timber Lake, South Dakota, on the Cheyenne River Reservation, was started in the spring of 1983 with the idea of creating a cottage industry where several people are employed. These people are usually those who need supplemental income and work from their homes. This organization, Missouri Breaks Industries, was a dream of two women, Marcia O'Leary and Deline Kugel, a dream come true. The Missouri Breaks Industries provides opportunities for many women from the reservation to utilize not only their talents, but also to incorporate years of tradition and heritage into present-day use through designing and creating hand-quilted star quilts and other handmade items, like jogging suits. We read about it. Among the specialty handmade items are quilts with the eagle and peace pipe, flying swallow, we looked at these, right? Morning star, peace pipe, prairie crocus, swooping eagle, and teepee designs. There are pillow tops to match their quilts and baby bunting or carriers with star designs on the back. The size of the quilts ranges from king to baby size. They're made from cotton polyester blends and filled with bonded polyester fiber fill. Okay, hang on. Okay. The women who are employed by Missouri Breaks Industries live all over the reservation. They drive to Timber Lake to get the materials they needed. It talks a little bit more about their process. The art of quilting did not exist for the Plains Indians until the missionaries, pioneers, and soldiers' wives taught the craft to a few Indian women, and they in turn passed it on to other women. The Lakota women started to make quilts primarily for utilitarian purposes, as the buffalo were rapidly diminishing. And their means and ways of life were changing with the arrival of the white man. With them came the material goods, which were substituted for the buckskin dress, buffalo robes, and animal skin clothing. From scraps of material left over from making clothes, different patterns and designs were created to make quilts. The star quilt is based upon a large overall star pattern. The star was produced by cutting scraps of material into diamond-shaped pieces and then sewn together to form the designs called Lone Star or Broken Star. Other patterns and designs were made up from the main star. Hang on. I'm going to see if I've got a good Lone Star. I mean, I've got this one. I just want to show you the Lone Star while I'm talking about it. Okay. Other patterns and designs were made up from the main star or from within the star pattern or outline. Today, if one does not have the desired scraps, they are purchased. The colors used in star quilts are usually very bright. Look at this. This is satin. I mean, this is great. Oh, so great. The star quilts are a prized possession to the Lakota people as much as a war shirt or fully quilled dress may have been in the past. These quilts are made and given away at weddings, anniversaries, the birth of a child, graduation, and at giveaways. A giveaway is a memorial, right? And the special exhibition that I just read from, this pamphlet, organized by the Indian Arts and Crafts Board Sioux Indian Museum, is the most recent showing of quilts by Missouri Breaks Industries in the state of South Dakota. There's a few more quilts for you. Cool, man. Prices of quilts for sale may be obtained from the Teepee Shop, a nonprofit educational organization operating the Indian Art Shop. So that's a little bit more about Missouri Breaks, okay? And a few more quilts here. Okay. Oh, gosh. Okay, I've got to find my stuff here, guys. I've got a little bit of a problem. I'm going to take a quick break and work on some tech stuff. I'm so sorry. I did say at the top of the show that it might be a little bit wonky today, and indeed, it's been a little bit weird. But I hope that you will stay. I hope you'll stay. I'm kind of impressed. I'm kind of impressed with actually how this has gone. It's Happy Thanksgiving. It's the vibe, and everybody's cooking stuff and making stuff, and we've been on an hour and a half, and in a way we're just getting started. It's true because you have more to do and I don't. I do not have anything to cook. I'll probably have pizza tonight, but it's okay. I'm gonna have a Thanksgiving meal on Saturday, so I'm good. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a glass of Prosecco because we have to cheers, we have to toast. Some of you are soused. I mean, some of you are completely over your skis and you don't care what's happening with the tech. You're thrilled. You're just like, I just want to look at stuff or not. Maybe I'll fall asleep for a little while because we have dinner at 4 and I need to get it together. Maybe that's the vibe right now for you. And some of you might have to leave. Yeah, subcultures. Thanks, Marianne. I was trying to figure that out. Some of you have to leave. Some of you are gonna go to the dinner that you are scheduled to be at, and you'll be like, I'm out of here because Quilt Nerd it's in hour 5. Mary's still going, and we've had our meal. It's been wonderful. Before I get in a fight with my sister-in-law or my mother or Uncle Frank, I think I'm gonna get back. I think I'm gonna get back to Quilt Nerd. I'll probably still be here. So I'm gonna take a break, get a glass of Prosecco, figure out my life, and I'll be back. Okay. So here we go. We're gonna start some music. I know people are going to have to, go and do stuff. It's about 12:45 in the United States, and I mean in other places too. In Canada, the Canadians had their Thanksgiving a few weeks back. I happen to know, but Nose to Quilts, you're in a warm bus now. I'm so glad. Have you been in the warm bus for a while? I really hope so, because the last time you checked in with us, you were at the bus stop, and that feels like a long time ago. I'm really glad. I'm really, really glad. Cheers, cheers. The bus is in a massive traffic jam because there's a football match in the city. Oh man. Hey, you know what? I like the bus. I have to say, I do. The train's great, but the bus, you get to see things, right? You're at street level. So in a city, the bus, anywhere, but like the bus is good. And I was a country kid. I grew up 7 miles out of town for a long time in my small town. And so I had to take the bus, man, the school bus. And so some of my earliest memories involve, pretending I was Shitara from Thundercats. That's right. I would look down. It's one of my earliest memories. I would look down at the ground racing by, and I would pretend I was Shitara from Thundercats, running. Yeah. I think that's maybe the most like gamer video Twitch thing I've said. Well, I don't know if there's a Thundercats video game. Anyway, I'm a Beat Saber player, so that's probably the most twitchy thing I've ever said. My point is, I like the bus. I always have. I like the bus. And yes, Susan, somewhere, someone has written or said the phrase, "Those aren't your grandmother's quilts." So that's when we drink. It's fine to like daintily sip, but can you imagine? When we do, I'm gonna have to get a bottle of tequila. I'm gonna have to, because the idea of like knocking back a shot of liquor on a quilt show. Think of all the fans we would get. It's like, oh, there's this quilt show and they get completely soused. Anyway, you were Shitara too? She was pretty sexy. Shitara, that was a bodycon suit she was wearing, wasn't it? M. Hicks, it's so good to see you. I'm going to read what you have to say. M. Hicks says, since we are away from home, we will be having our first Thanksgiving in our motorhome. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's really cool. The hubby came home from the grocery store yesterday with some of the fixins for dinner, and I reminded him that we only have 2 pots and 1 skillet to cook with. And his response was, well, I guess it will be an adventure. Wish me luck. That is the best response. I love him. He's great. You probably do not need me to tell you this, but that is awesome. That is the kind of attitude. It's the kind of attitude I like. Yeah, Marianne is not so sure about the shots. Quilt Nerd After Dark. You know what? Oh, I just had an idea. I don't know if it's a very good idea. Marianne, you gave me an idea, so it's your fault. But what if, like, for subscribers only? Like, I want to give you all perks. I want to like give you something. I've been thinking a lot about it. Like, what are the perks for being a subscriber? Maybe you get access to Quilt Nerd After Dark, and Quilt Nerd After Dark is just like we just, I don't know, talk about whatever. Maybe talk about whatever. Maybe that's like not in, but it could be fun. It could be fun. It could be like Sunday Social, only you don't have to make quilts. You don't have to do anything, but you can, like, have your margarita or whatever. And I got some good stories. I was thinking about, don't do it, Fons. Don't do it. I've got stories to tell you someday, or maybe in my memoir, that'll blow your mind. I've lived a wild life. Did you know it? Did you suspect it? It's true. I've got some pretty good stories. While I was teaching, America how to make quilts on public television, I had my wild life in Chicago. So it was kind of like, it's kind of keeping 2 sets of books there for a while. It's fascinating. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Anyway, I can't tempt you with those stories and then not tell you. So I'll just tell you that one day, maybe we'll do Quilt Nerd After Dark, and we'll just get crazy, and it'll be members only. Okay. So let's get back to the show and living on the edge. Wait, Myra's living on the edge? You're making a mimosa. Yes. Oh, we have grapefruit juice. I could make a Greyhound. Is it a Greyhound? No, a Bellini. A Bellini is Prosecco and grapefruit juice, I think, right? A Greyhound is vodka, I think, and grapefruit juice. But you know what, M. Hicks, I think that sounds really fun. I think that the motorhome Thanksgiving, I mean, what a cool first. And where are you? Are you on the road? I mean, probably, right? Where are you in the United States? Where are you in America? Oh, great. Myra, it's 10:48 a.m. in Seattle. And Myra heard she heard buzz when we said bus, and it was all over. And it's snowing in Wisconsin. And Ivana can see the snow. Okay, here we go. Yes, okay, Bellini is Prosecco and peaches. All right. So at least I want to show you, this is crazy. This is crazy. Wait until you see this thing. Okay, hang on, right? There's that. And here's this. I just got to get everything worked out here. Okay. Hang on. I am going to do that. Okay. So I found this website. This website. And I just didn't know. I mean, I still don't really know what I'm looking at, but I love it. Here is the website. Help me figure it out together. And I'm not being like, what is this? I don't even know. Help me determine what it is. I mean, I really mean like this is fascinating, and I want your help. And it's full of this great information. Okay, so CSDT. You know, this was found in the rabbit hole, right? So here, CSDT, it stands for Culturally Situated Design Tools. Bear with me. Here's what Culturally Situated Design Tools has to say. I have to find out who is making this, right? Because I don't know yet, because I was grabbing things. This was fascinating. I had to put it into the show. Here's what it says. The elitist myths of quote-unquote savages and quote-unquote white trash led to today's bigotry. Yeah? Yes. Here at CSDT, you can counter those stereotypes with African fractals, Appalachian quilting algorithms, and more. I mean, like, are you intrigued? I am. From native beadwork to urban graffiti, students can find the heritage algorithms, that's quote-unquote heritage algorithms of their interest. Learn their connection to STEM principles, science, technology. Oh God, what is STEM? Oh my God, I can't believe I can't. STEM, S-T-E-M, right? STEM principles, and develop designs of their own creations. Yeah. Learn, create, and share your work with culturally situated design tools. I mean, what? It's like really, really interesting. So then I click on, I found this because of this, okay? So they have these projects, and you can, hold on. Let's see, projects, quilts. I gotta find, okay, so quilting. I still don't know. I mean, let me just click on about. Okay, the mission of Culturally Situated Design Tools is the mission of the team is to improve education, justice, and equality through new STEM plus C educational models. Okay, oh, I love that. Science, so it's science, tech, engineering, and math. Thank you. And Susan R. Michael says STEAM is better because it includes art. Science, tech, art. Sorry, science, tech, engineering, art, and math. Love it. But who is hosting this thing? Okay. Concept: by eliminating misconceptions about race and gender in STEM plus C, engaging students and working with teachers, CSDTs can simultaneously teach science, empower students, and change perspectives. I'm all about it. Here's the history. And wait till you see what it does. Okay, we gotta have context for this stuff. So I'm reading you what it says, and then we'll look at visually interesting things. This whole thing grew out of the field of ethnomathematics. What? Excuse me, what? Wow, I've never seen that word. Ethnomathematics? Oh, I'm so big. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Oh God. Wow. Okay. Huh. I'm so sorry. I was still covering everything. Okay. You have to tell me that. but I mean, maybe you did and I wasn't looking. Okay. So ethnomathematics. Back in 2000, I have to know more. It developed into a series of Java applets, which could be used by teachers in various schools. Chris Mess, you were a math major and never heard of it. Would you please Google and tell us what you find? You don't have to, but, I'm going to Google it later at least, if not now. Okay, so as Java applets were phased out of use, CSDT was switched to build on Snap by adding, okay, there's a lot of computer talk. I'm not being a twit. I want to get to this other stuff. Here's the team. CSDT's culturally situated design tools are the brainchild of Dr. Ron Eglash, professor in the School of Information at the University of Michigan. Michigan, always leading the way. And his co-PIs, Dr. Audrey Bennett. Okay, so it's University of Michigan. Okay, so now what is it that they do? Well, so if you click, look, it says discrete iteration. Many cultural patterns are just repeating shapes. Great for beginners. Yeah, so they have a thing on quilting. So you click on quilting and there's these pictures, okay, of these very interesting, I think is that You Are Loved. Is that Sean Kimber? Yes, Rise Up, Love. They have a little small detail picture of a Sean Kimber quilt. So here's what they say. Quilting uses small scraps of fabric to make blankets and other textiles. There's a reason this is on today's show. Just hang on. It was originally based on discarded cloth, so the traditions often came from low-income communities. Yes and no, but that's cool. Reuse of cloth also benefited the environment by reducing waste. In this site, you can learn about quilting in African American, Appalachian, Native American, Pacific Islander, Celtic, and Asian traditions. These quilts encode indigenous mathematical ideas, social messages, and other systems for turning patterns into meaning. Wow. We call these heritage algorithms. Sorry. I mean, this is the moment where, like I said in the beginning of the show, like I nerd out about quilts, but really it's nerding out about like the world that we live in, heritage algorithms. I love that. The tutorials on this site will show you how to use heritage algorithms, I have chills, to creatively code your own quilt designs and even turn your virtual quilts into physical cloth. Okay, Chris is coming in with the ethnomathematics. Check this out from Wikipedia. Ethnomathematics is the study of the relationship between mathematics and culture. What? Often associated with quote-unquote cultures without written expression. Interesting. Unquote. It may also be defined as, quote, the mathematics which is practiced among identifiable cultural groups. The Wikipedia entry has all those citations. It refers to a broad cluster of ideas. So ethnomathematics refers to a broad cluster of ideas ranging from distinct numerical and mathematical systems to multicultural mathematics education. Who freaking knew? And by the way, Chris Mess, remember you were like, I love this show. I'm not a quilt person, but you covered all the things that I like. I don't think we covered mathematics, and you were like a math major. I know we haven't done baseball yet. I remember. But, I mean, just saying we are getting there. Okay. So here's what happens when you click on this. Okay, wait. So background. So you click on the quilting tab, and look, they have G's Bend. Good. Yes, the link to this must go into the Discord. It absolutely will. This is crazy. So they have a tab about G's Bend. Okay? This like STEM, but Michigan though, the thing is that Michigan, I think Michigan State has the Great Lakes Quilt thing. I mean, Marcia McDowell and Beth Donaldson and all those like heavyweight quilt scholars. No, it's the University of Michigan. Anyway, the point is Michigan has some crazy quilt culture stuff going on. And anyway, so they've got Gee's Bend, they've got Appalachia. Okay, it's nuts. This is nuts. Susan Michael, didn't you put this picture of this woman here on the right? Didn't you put this in the Discord when we were talking about the Carter family? I think you did. Anyway, so they've got Appalachia, right? Appalachian quilts, Lakota. And look, this is what they talk about when they talk about the Lone Star. I found this. I think this is the first thing that I found when I was looking at like Lone Star traditions and quilt things. This is a piece of hide with that star design, right? And they're referencing this. Okay, so you can read all of this. I'm not Anishinaabe quilts, okay? And this gets into the second thing that I'm going to show you in just a little bit. We're going to talk about this woman, Minaachimo-Kwe. Her American name or her other name that she goes by is Alice Olsen Williams, okay? She's a quilter and she makes really interesting quilts in this particular style. 4 directions, Afrofuturism. It's crazy. So what do they do here? So look. So you can hold on. Let me get to this. Just a minute. Just a second. Tutorial software channel. Hang on. Projects. Just 1 second here. Proceed to culture back. Nope. Okay, hang on. Because there's this. Oh yeah, here. Okay. So if you click on one of these, open, then you get this. Okay. Then you get this. Now, if I pulled Eric in here, he could do some things. Okay, whoa. I don't know what this is. I don't. And we're all pretty smart here. I'm no dummy, okay? But I don't know. So you have look at this. You have the ability to move these pieces around. So this star is set, I guess. I don't know. But I have the ability to like place these pieces, apparently, in... You have looked at this, Susan Michael? Of course you have. You have a pic of it, but it was shared by another... Okay, it was shared by another quilter. Okay, good to know. So, oh my gosh, wow. What was that? Oh, wow. Okay, great. I love pushing buttons. Okay, fractals, right? Oh, what's happening? When I have no idea what's happening, but where is Harry Smith when you need him? Oh, wow. Harry Smith was the guy who was, hanging out with Sarah Carter and doing peyote. Anyway, wow. I mean, okay, look, all I'm saying is this exists. It's cool. It's quilts and like science, okay, and technology. Changes you made may not be saved. That's okay. We don't need to save that. We're going to go back and just click on this other one, okay? And I'm going to read to you. Wow. Look at this. Ah. Wait a minute. Hold on. What does open for presentation mean? What does that mean? Open for presentation? We're open for presentation. I need a crisp. Okay. Wow. So you can move this around. I mean, what if I right click on it? What does that mean? Help? Yes. No. Okay. Can I copy? No. I don't know, people. Anyway, this is what I have to say. So what I wanted to do is print out. See, look at this. Cornrow curves, tooled leather, bead loom, yarn arts, sci-fi. I mean, it's basically the coolest website I've ever seen in my life. Okay, it's the coolest thing. So I will share this in the Discord for the episode show notes. I know, Ivana. I know. I will. I will. I absolutely will. I mean, I'm fascinated too. And the thing is, one of the things I printed out from this website was what they had on all of this. The Lakota quilts. This information is great. I mean, I look at Obama. I'd never seen that picture. So you know, all of the information, it's like a very small bite-size bit of information about Lakota quilts, which is fantastic, you know. And I've printed everything out, and now I'm just wondering if I'm going to read everything. But this one, the Anishinaabe quilts, is what we're going to look at next. Because so it says the Anishinaabe, my apologies for having a new word that I don't know how to say, are the indigenous people of the Great Lakes region. Okay, regions. Ojibwe, Cree, Algonquin, Potawatomi, Odawa, and others. The Anishinaabe created their own math and computing ideas before Europeans arrived. This circle, we're going to see more of these. Okay, this circle divided into 4 quarters is called a medicine wheel. The Anishinaabe used this to understand how the world is organized. Okay, so I'm going to read you that while showing you images of this woman's work, okay? Because this woman is, I found because of this site, okay? So I'm going to read to you about this person. And here's a little bit more. So the circle, you see the circle, look, and none of these pictures that I found from this woman's website, we'll get to her, were, Susan, thank you so much. Thank you for saying that you're still listening but not typing, because, you know, I love that. I love that you're still here. So none of the pictures on this in this chapter of the show today are high res. They're not. And they're from this woman's website, which we'll talk about. But you see this thing? This little guy? Okay. That is the medicine wheel. The Anishinaabe use this to understand how the world is organized. You will see many of these circles as we go through these photos. Many things happen in circles, from the shape of a nest to the cycles of living creatures. And many things are divided into 4s. The year has 4 seasons. The earth has 4 directions. Let me get another one of these. Hang on. Here, look at this one. Okay. The year has 4 seasons. The earth has 4 directions. The earth has 4 directions. Each animal on this wheel represents a different aspect of life. Okay, so that's referring to the website, but got it. The medicine wheel repeats every 90 degrees. But the Anishinaabe show you can extend that idea to any angle. And so then they talk about Alice Olsen Williams, whose indigenous name is Minaachimo-Kwe. Okay? And that is who we're going to talk about now. Okay. Because these are her quilts. So here we go. So I went to her website, and this is her at 8 years old. And she has these quilts, okay, many of them in her gallery. All of these pictures are from her website. But she also has these wonderful family pictures. And so I grabbed like all of them. I grabbed a ton of her quilts and her family pictures. And that's like the slideshow that I'm going to do as I read to you about her. Okay. So here, and this is from her essay on her website. Okay. So, and I've not read it. It's very long. I will skim some places, but this is Minaachimo-Kwe, otherwise known as Alice Olsen Williams. So this is her essay. I'm going to show you her work and her pictures as I read it to you. And we're going to get to know this quilter, okay, this indigenous quilter. So, my real name is Minaachimo-Kwe, while my English pseudonym is Alice Olsen Williams. My mother's dudem, or clan, is the Caribou. But because my father is a white man, born in Oslo, Norway, I was not born into a clan. Look at this picture of her. Look, she's peeking out through her quilt. Do you see that? I mean, I'm a fan, okay? However, the Martin adopted me into her clan. I was born in Trout Lake in northwestern northwestern Ontario, the land of my mother's people and relations from time before memory. I've been living now for the past 44 years at Curve Lake, a First Nation between Ottawa and Toronto, where my husband and 4 children were born and raised. She has 5 grandchildren and a 2.5-year-old great-grandson, who I think we see in one of these pictures. She's a sovereign member of the mighty Anishinaabe Nation. And this is what I say when I introduce myself at ceremonies. I am known for my quilts. As a quilt maker, I hope that I help bring honor to women, as women in many cultures and down through the millennia have made blankets for warmth, comfort, beauty, and expressions of love for their families, households, relations, ceremonies, and gifts. I did not always twig to quilts and quilt making. I love that expression. I did not always twig to quilts and quilt making. The first time I carefully looked at a quilt, I was dismayed to see all those tiny, tiny stitches and wondered how anyone could even imagine finishing all that stitching. I had done a lot of beadwork in the past, and it requires working with minute beads and small stitches, but the projects are relatively small, and it's easy to see an end to them. But quilts? They're so big! How can anyone imagine being able to finish one? All of my life, I've loved fabrics. My mom was poor when we were small. Do you see the medicine wheel down there? Down there, right there. My mom was poor, but she had fabric. She made her own clothes. Okay. Okay, so she made a little bit of her clothes. Okay, so one day in July 1980, by then I was 35 and had 4 children. Interesting. So look at this. This is a great picture. So that's her, I think that's her great-grandson. So she's the one holding the baby, and I believe that's, well, maybe it's her grandson. Anyway, okay. Again, all these pictures of her family are on her website. One day in July 1980, I was 35 and had 4 children. A friend of mine excitedly informed me she had seen a quilt course advertised in the paper in 1980. This was totally happening, right? All over the place. She suggested we sign up for it. I wasn't interested, but Debbie was so enthusiastic I didn't want to rain on her parade. Okay. They went to the class, and they were handed a small bag with a couple pieces of fabric and a picture and templates for a honeybee quilt block. And she says as soon as she touched them, she knew it was like she was home, For the next 4 years, I cut, put together, sewed, and quilted the usual quilts, took the occasional quilt course, joined local quilt guilds. She made conventional blocks, and which were developed and continue to be evolved by those women and their descendants who came to this land from across the ocean. And some of the blocks, she does ordinary blocks she talks about, and she likes making them, okay? And during this time, I kept thinking to myself, she says, I really love this, making quilts. It excites me, but also it keeps me on an even keel. I love this so much that it's going to be the me part of the rest of my life. That's cool. And she capitalized me and part, so it's the me part of the rest of my life, which meant it was not something I was going to pick up and do whenever I found a bit of spare time or when I could fit it in somewhere during my days. I meant that most other things in my life were going to come second. Oh, look at this. So there she's making a quilt with, I don't know who that is, that little child, but it's a pretty cute kid. During this time, quilting was going to be the most meaningful connection to life for me. Everything else would have to be squeezed in around my quilting activities. Yes, the child is like, pay attention to me. I made up my mind I was going to treat quilting like eating. You enjoy it, and you have to do it. I love it. That's so great. Because I would give so much of my life to quilting, I love what she's working on. Look at that quilt. It's great. I tried to think of ways I could distinctively put myself into my work so that it would be distinguishable from other people's work. Little Bird Stitch, I love that attitude too. How am I going to put, this a question she's asking herself, how am I going to put who I am or what I am into my quilts so that people will know that a First Nations woman made these quilts? I thought about it for a while, and the realization came that I had to start from me. Who is me? What is me? Who am I? What has made me who I am? I realized the experience I have lived through helped me make me who I am, and that it was my mother being Anishinaabe and my father being white that has given me the experiences I have lived through. I want to pause just for a second and say that, this is why I think I love pictorial quilts so much. Because in those quilts, in quilts that deviate from, and I love a log cabin quilt. Come on, like anytime I talk about a quilt that like I like more than another, it's just, I love them all, okay? For all the reasons. And you do too, I know. But like, there's something about the pictorial, and she does a lot of it, that is, but not just an art quilt. It's like the pictorial quilt that you make, that you use and whatever. You have an opportunity to really do this, and you can put yourself and your soul, and I mean it, into a traditional quilt. You can have a quilt that means the world to you, and it's a bear's paw, or it's a drunkard's path, or whatever, completely, 1000%. But when you start to, kind of explore, if you're asking yourself, like, who am I? And how do I put myself into my quilts? Like, maybe it's just the border on your quilt. Maybe it's just the border, and it's the way you cut a leaf, and applique it down. It's your leaf, Maybe it's the way you, decide to, I don't know, put an, an applique is kind of how it happens, right? You put a star into each corner. Maybe everything about your quilt is pieced and it's traditional and you love it because it stays done and it's just, it's great. But that there are these little touches, and then maybe you start doing something completely different. But you know what I'm saying? It's like she's putting herself into her quilts in these very, look, the medicine wheel in the center. Okay. So yes, Padma, exactly. A pictorial quilt is a unique story. A Norway spruce. Oh, it may be. Oh, it probably was. That tree, it probably was. Marianne, you're very good. Okay. I was recognized and treated as an Anishinaabe by white people, but I was not Indian under the law. Interesting. And therefore, while I was raised among Anishinaabe relatives, I had to attend ordinary provincial schools. Whoa, that's really heavy. Damn. That must have been kind of confusing. I'm sure she's going to say, why don't I just read what she has to say? And because my parents' home was in the bush, I also had to board in private white homes, much like where many First Nations children had to live when the state and children's aid came and swooped them away from their parents and their homes. Wow. I won't go into the horrendous and dreadful ways that my cultural roots and self-esteem were severed and shattered being among white people during my school years. However, I do want to acknowledge that many times I was treated much better than a lot of the Anishinaabe because white people bestowed on me some white skin privilege. Damn. I was given to have an Anishinaabe mother and a white father. This has shaped my life and my thinking. It has shaped how I interpret what the world is all about. I have been grateful for this double heritage. From my mother, I am connected to the sacred spirit and life of this land, and to the people and life who came before us. My mother gave me the core of my being, the Anishinaabe way. Traditionally, women rearing their daughters and sons have a more intimate relationship with their children than do men. Women pass down and communicate the cultural norms and values. Because my Anishinaabe mother was able to raise me during most of my formative years, this is great, this quilt, the essence of my being is experienced in terms of the Anishinaabe. From my father, I was given the traditions of the white culture, which would make it possible for me to live more easily in the milieu of the dominating society. I really like this quilt. I really do. Look at the gesture of those shapes in the center. Wonderful. Because I would one day have to go to school and live outside of the Anishinaabe ways, which was in those days essentially communal and non-competitive, my parents realized they had to prepare me to live in the culture of a racist, capitalist society. My white father taught me the norms and values which I should adopt and adapt and adapt to, so it would be easier for white people to accept me. These non-Anishinaabe cultural traits and behaviors I perceive as acting like clothing. They cover up my Anishinaabe self, so white people are able to accept me easier, and I can succeed or make it in their world better. Thinking about quilting, I realized I wanted to acknowledge my double heritage. How was I going to do this? What form would it take? What images would I use? For the next couple years, I wondered about this. Slowly, the way to do this began to take shape. Okay, so it's, I mean, I'm not skipping anything. I mean, it's just quite long, and I want to make sure. Well, it's really wonderful, though, right? I kind of don't want to skip anything. Okay. Okay, yeah, okay. If I don't have an Anishinaabe art form, I feature birds and animals or beings which feature significantly and importantly in Anishinaabe life and culture. This is how I show the heritage my mother gave to me. It honors First Nations people. Okay. I began to wonder what I didn't know. Okay. Okay. Hang on. So this is her process, right? She's talking about men and women's art forms, trying to figure out, you got to read this. I mean, the link will be in the Discord. I mean, 1,000%. Floral and geometric. So she starts experimenting with floral and geometrics, which we saw in that quilt just right before this one, right? Right before this one, that one that I liked so much. Here's her working on beadwork. Okay. It's a great picture. Okay, it's a woman's art form. Okay, I'm thankful so I'm skipping a fair amount, but we need to. So I'm thankful for Debbie Jacobs for dragging me into that first quilt course. I want you to read this. It's interesting. I'm also thankful this is an exhibit poster that was there, for the heritage and skills which my mother and father each gave me. In many ways, my 4 children have helped me. But one of their biggest contributions to my work is that they did the everyday household chores, which allowed me to spend more time and energy on my art. Even though my 3 grandchildren are still small, somehow they inspire me and give me great joy. I can't list off all the ways my husband has helped me, but his greatest gift is that he meets a lot of my construction needs, like making shelves and other storage space. God bless him. Because I don't like the way I draw, he and our son, Kisik, have helped me draft out some of the images I transfer on to fabric. I hope that through my quilting... Oh, this is an article, by the way, that I found on her in Uppercase Magazine. So I'll put the link to that magazine also in the Discord. I hope that through my quilting... Hey, M. Sujan. Oh, yay. Yeah, her work is really great. I'm so glad you dropped in. And yeah, she is really somebody. I mean, I wonder, that's her daughter, I know, from another picture. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, if she's doing lectures and things, I mean, if you're with a guild and you're programming people, I mean, we just saw her. Look, she's giving a lecture, obviously, showing her quilts. I mean, I would love to hear her speak, She's so articulate about her journey and, like, obviously very active. And many of these pictures, show her, like, doing stuff with groups, and she's a prolific quilter. I mean, just fascinating person, right? She says, I hope that through my quilting, I have been able to make a positive and significant contribution to people's understanding of the Anishinaabe ways. I believe that's her mother, and how we see life. For in the end, this is the only way the earth and all life can be saved. That's a great quote. Yeah, and I mean, anybody, it's interesting. Maybe it sounds a little, this is the chief of her tribe. This and all of the pictures that you're seeing, like I said, are on her website, and there are little captions, as you go through the little slideshow she has. So all of these pictures can be identified, right? But it was too many pictures for me to get done. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a little bit cheesy, but like, it does sound cheesy, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's your quilt journey, right? Like, what, really? Like, have you sort of, have you made the quilts you want to make? Have you really made the quilts you want to make? Have you like gone down that road? Like, who am I? What am I, I'm just saying, like, that's a very personal journey. Maybe you were going to write it down. Maybe you're not going to write it down. But I didn't start making quilts, like for myself until I left Fons and Porter, and I haven't made that many because I'm still figuring that out. But when I was at Fons and Porter, I had to make quilts, they were commercial endeavors pretty much. And now, I mean, I just don't have to do that at all. And it's like, yeah, what quilts do I want to make? It's just like, set yourself free, And that's what this woman's talking about. And she's so articulate about her journey. So, I think I'm going to wrap it up, y'all, because I think it's getting late enough over there that that people need to do their stuff. And what time is it here? 7:30. I mean, I've been on for 2.5 hours, for Lord's sake. I want to drink that Prosecco, but I don't want to drink it on camera because, Prosecco goes right to my head. These quilts are awesome. And I hope that, your Thanksgiving, I think this was the right thing to do, right? For the Thanksgiving show, because, Indigenous quilt traditions there's just so much to explore. This is like one of many shows, right, that will include quilt nerdery in this particular corner of American. That's Buffy St. Marie, by the way, that she's with. So cool. This is just one of many shows where we'll talk about traditions, in this part of the American quilt story. But it seems like, that's my last one. It seems like an appropriate day to do it, right, for the Thanksgiving day. You all are just great. You know that I feel that way. And when I say, and someone else said it earlier at the top of the show, like that they were grateful for this community. Me too. Thank you so much for helping to make this year very exciting and scary and just really, it's just really, really rewarding to come here and share with you. And I just could not ask for more. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for telling people about the show if you think they would like it. It's so cool. And I'm grateful for you and I'm thankful for you. And I see you and I think you're great. I do. So I'll put notes in the Discord right now. Gonna kick back, watch a show with Eric, do this stuff, and happy Thanksgiving to you. And thank you to all the quilters, period, right? And especially in the United States today, the Native Americans who were there way before white girls like me showed up. And I just thank you so much for all the quilts that you make and continue to make. So, love you guys. Go eat some food. For me.